welcome to Brick and
Hello.
Brand,
How
everyone.
are you today? I
I'm
can't believe you're
literally in shock that we're here. No, it's literally crazy. This has been a long time coming.
How long has it been? Like 8 months of work to be here today?
At least. No, at least. There's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and we just had to get our ducks in a row before we launched anything, but we're
Who
so
knew starting
excited.
a podcast would be so much work? Well, now we know.
Well, and we're also both like technologically challenged.
Yes,
Like
the fact
me,
that you can
yeah.
see us and hear us is truly a miracle.
No,
But
literally.
we're so excited to be here and thank you for listening in on this first episode of Brick and Brand. There's so many exciting things in store that we cannot wait to share with you guys. I think to start this first episode, it would be fun to take the listener back to kind of how it all started and where we're from and why we're sitting here today talking about all this interesting stuff.
So, Ratley and I, to give a quick little nutshell, Ratley and I are two of six kids in my family, and we grew up in Bakersfield, California, so like the Central Valley.
For those of you who
And
don't know, it's dairy farming, agriculture, and oil is basically what we're known for. It's about what,
yeah,
an hour and a half north of LA?
yeah, to 2 hours, but yeah, you can smell it as soon as you like enter that portion of the freeway. It's crazy.
It's how
It
we
has
know
a
we're
very
home.
distinct smell. Yeah, just like manure.
Yeah, we grew up there, like Delaney said, in a huge family. And honestly, most days we had even more than 6 kids in our household because our mom was fostering kids. We always had neighborhood children over. So it was always a huge household of people. But we also had such a unique childhood and upbringing. And I think a lot of the things we're going to share with you today kind of shaped like how we're even here in this career and starting a podcast. You know, our dad was in real estate, I think basically his whole career. And for those of you who don't know, retail real estate is commission only. So my dad was working on deals, working on development projects, but really only getting paid, when things took place. So it was obviously a rough start, and then he was able to be really successful in kind of the Central Valley, and we got to be around it since we were little kids.
Before we get too far in, we should really explain retail real estate, just a quick summary of what that is for anyone who doesn't know.
A commercial can encompass industrial, office, and retail. And so we focus just on the retail sector, nothing to do with residential. And I think a lot of people, when they hear real estate, they automatically think, oh, you're selling homes. And that's just kind of what people know. And that's totally not what it is for us. And so you'll learn a lot more about it as we go. But that's what my dad did. And growing up, I don't think I've still ever been to Disneyland, but I certainly didn't go as a child because that just
I've been
wasn't.
literally one time. Literally one time. I don't
I can't
even.
even believe I'm saying that. But no, I mean, our version of fun with my dad was like driving to his various properties around town, and they typically weren't in the best areas. But we would go and like help sit in the car or go in with him and meet with his tenants. He would talk to us about, the rent and changing the locks and HVAC and parking counts. And that was just kind of what
A
we
bunch
knew.
of like hogwash to a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old, right? It's literally nonsense. You're like, get me out of here. We would always make deals with him. Like, if we go along with you for 2 or 3 hours, you're stopping at Sonic on the way home and we're getting a
Yeah,
slushie and a cheeseburger, and then I will participate. So it was
getting
really
some
a
kind of a
bargaining
treat.
thing.
I don't remember ever thinking like it was weird because it was all we knew. It was just like buildings and tenants, and that was like part of our lives. And I don't know if I ever told you this story, Delaney, but when me and Sullivan, who is my younger brother, Delaney's older brother, and she actually works with Sullivan in San Diego at his firm, and they work together. But him and my dad told us he had a really fun Saturday plan for us one weekend. And we're like, okay, let's do it. Well, come to find out, we're picking up trash at one of his new properties. And it is
Oh
not in a good part of
my
town.
God.
Like there was
I can
homeless
picture this
people
perfectly. Yeah.
for probably 6 hours on Saturday. We picked up trash and he was like, look, someday this is going to be your property and your siblings' property. So you need to learn to like appreciate it and know the
Oh
work that goes into
my
it.
God. He is crazy. We grew up doing the dirty work. Like, we didn't see the frivolous, like, fun part of it. We were cleaning
Mm-mm.
trash. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever heard that story.
I know. Well, you were, I think, still too young to have been invited. So lucky you. But And we had grandparents who did very unique things for us. Like, as an example, one Christmas, instead of getting us Christmas gifts like all of our neighbors and our peers were getting, they gave each of us 6 kids who were all at different ages a $100 bill. And the one requirement was we had to figure out a way to multiply it, which basically now in retrospect was like invest it and make it grow.
Yeah.
All 6 of us pooled the money and started a fun run for charity, which we did for what, 6 years?
At least. I mean, I feel like it was probably longer than that. But the way we went all out, there was like
Yeah.
hundreds of people at these events, and it was once a year. And our parents did not take it easy on us. I was very little, probably like 7 or 8 years old, and I would have to go into these stores. My mom would take me to a shopping mall, and I would go into stores and ask for donations. And I had to like articulate what this event was, what we were
I did not know
donating
she
to.
made you do that.
My God, for years, for years. And I would have to explain to them, like, we're donating it to this charity and
Mhm.
this is what the charity is about. And I'm very little and I'm
Right, right.
fully having these conversations with the manager.
And
But
I'm
we
sure you're
got a lot.
terrified.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Well,
I
we
was
would raise thousands
terrified.
of dollars. I remember we would have to
Yes.
usually we'd have to give, like, some sort of a speech at the event. One
Yeah.
of a couple of us would have to speak about the charity, and it's just like you learn so quickly not to be afraid of anything.
Looking back, I'm like, "What the?"
I
But we would get
know.
up at 3 in the morning and be blowing up balloons for, like, 8 hours before I mean, like, it was our thing. Our parents
It's a
didn't
whole
just go,
production.
"Okay, we'll take over and hire someone." It was like, "You
No.
guys do this, or there's gonna be 500 people in your front yard in 2 hours asking
Yeah.
what's going on."
Well, it's so cool because we got to see as young kids, like, building something from a $100 bill to this huge production with I think there was actually a couple thousand people one year. I mean, it was
That's
just to be able
crazy.
to see that, I think it totally impacted us, but Delaney and I are 6 years apart, and so we were in different stages of life, and one thing I remember about Delaney is she was this incredible tennis player and, like, had the most competitive mindset, I think, out of all 6 of us. I played sports more just for fun, I wasn't that competitive, but Delaney would go out on the tennis court and win all these awards, and she would beat these players that were seated way higher than her. And I just remember all of us kind of looking up to her, even though she was one of the younger ones, and being like, she is made of steel. Like, that girl's going places. And I don't know what it was you were taking out your anger or your whatever on the tennis court, but it was a very impactful memory.
That is so funny. She said she might be the most competitive one. I don't know about that, but I was the middle child, so I say I'm like the forgotten child. When my parents would pick us all up from sports practice and they would turn around in the van or the car and go, "Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, we're good. Let's go home." And I would be like left at practice. So I had to have an iron will. Are you kidding me? But no,
Do you
thank you.
remember
That's
though,
so
like,
nice.
playing in those tournaments, like, what was it that caused you to, like, always come out on top regardless of your skill level? And maybe you
Well,
lost
I
sometimes,
didn't.
but
Yeah, I didn't at all. No, but I mean, I really liked it being an individual sport. I
yeah.
enjoyed the fact that I was the only one out there. It was me and my opponent, and you can't have coaches really in most tournaments, and you don't really have team members. It's just you. And
Mhm.
so I liked that solitude kind of, and I liked feeling the pressure. And then the other thing I think I like about tennis is just that it's like anyone's game. Like you could be playing against somebody who's been playing 10 years longer than you and has been training harder, and they could have a bad day, and all of a sudden you're on top. Like
Yeah.
you just never know. So I liked that. I liked that I could like do anything I wanted.
Well, and I think just the fact that you enjoyed the pressure and that it was all on you is very unique. Most people don't feel that way, they feel the opposite.
Right.
So, that's very telling that you kind of ended up in the field you're in today, which is really requires all those same skills.
And meanwhile, Bradley was literally like 12 years old starting businesses. So our parents did not give us like, allowances or things like that. We
Mm-mm.
worked for our money, period. And then it was up to us how we wanted to spend it for the most part. But if we wanted to go to the movies with our friends, then we had to do work around the house for 2 or 3 Saturdays
Mhm.
before to earn up the money. And so Bretley kind of realized this whole, okay, I can work and then get money and then it's mine. and I can do
And do
anything
whatever
I
I
want
want.
with it.
The
Yeah,
freedom. Oh my
the
gosh, yeah.
freedom. So she's out literally at 12 years old starting businesses. The first one that stands out vividly to me is Rolling Rust Busters, where she would go
Mhm.
around because we lived in the country, everybody had farms and stuff around us, and she would go around to the neighboring houses and farms and ask if she could paint their fences because they were
They were
rusty
all
and
rusting. They
gross.
needed
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
And she would make a lot of money at 12
It was
years
really
old.
incredible. Yeah, I remember I rode my bike to this one ranch in particular that had it was massive, and it felt like miles of rusting fences, and I knocked on the door and I met this sweet woman named Mary, and I just told her, "Your fences are rusty, like, I think you need me, and you can pay me hourly for this." And she hired me, and it ended up being like a full summer job that I did with one of my best friends at the time, and I was too young to drive, so I would ride my bike, and I remember the first pay day, which she paid us weekly in cash in 20s, and she gave me this pile of cash, and I got on my bike, and I'm, like, counting it, and I remember thinking, "This is the best feeling in the world. I'm never stopping making money." And that was kind of
That's
it. I
so
don't think
cool.
I ever stopped working after that. I mean, I did a lot of different things, waitressing, and I did all the different jobs you could do, but that was a kind of a formative summer for me of just understanding that, like, you can go out and create things and start things, and,
Didn't you make, like, business cards, you and your
oh,
friend?
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
of
they're literally
course.
I don't even know, was it handwritten?
I made them on, like, Microsoft, whatever. I mean, this was, like, 15,
Yeah,
20
like, what
years
did you
ago.
have access to? We
But,
didn't have
it had my
phones.
cell, there's no website, but, I made them and cut them out on paper, and I'd leave them on the doorsteps. Really.
Which your cell was probably our
Oh, I
home
didn't have a
landline. It
cell,
was
you're
our
right.
landline. They would have to
Yeah.
call you on the family landline.
Yeah,
I
and
love that.
who knew who would answer, one of the 6
Yeah,
kids.
that's iconic. Any one of us could have snatched that job up real
I
quick. That's
know, I would
so
never have
funny.
known, but I ultimately moved away from California and went to school at Baylor in Texas, which is kinda what started my Texas journey, and at the time, I was really into writing books and blogging and traveling in the summers and really thought I will never do real estate, and Delaney and I never talked about real estate at that time, but I knew just from my journey, I wasn't planning to do that. I got a
Mhm.
sociology degree, and I wanted to be a writer or a journalist or reporter, something totally different, and Delaney, I think you were in the same boat. Did you ever think about getting into this
No.
field?
Literally no. If the only thought I put into it was that I wouldn't do it, like, seriously. I just
Yeah.
didn't even understand what it was. Like, I remember thinking, like, I know my dad does this for a living. Like, I know how to say it, like, I can tell people when they ask me, "What does my dad do?" No idea what it means,
I
though.
could
Like,
never
no
describe
idea.
it. Yeah,
No.
just real estate, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me anything else.
Literally. So,
And
yeah, even though we were so surrounded by it, like, didn't really know what we were talking about.
yeah, and I think Delaney was more interested in medicine, I was more interested in writing, but,
Yeah.
anyway, I graduated from Baylor and decided to move to Dallas for what I thought would just be a couple of years. I always ultimately thought I would return to California and be near my family, and I ended up getting a job with the help of a recruiter at this company called Harwood International, which if you're in Texas, you may know them, but they own a bunch of, like, really prime retail and office in Uptown Dallas. I was just an admin there, so I wasn't doing anything real estate related. But, in about 6 months, I moved to another position at a company called Granite Properties, who are big office developers as well, and none of this was planned. I was just really going to where my recruiter could help me find a position. I was not trying to go to a real estate company, but kind of by accident, I ended up being, in that field, and I was doing property management for about 5 years. I started to just realize I wanted a little bit more control over my own destiny, and I wanted to
That's
be
such, like,
able
a
to
simple sentence, but you just dropped it like a bomb. Like, I just
Yeah.
wanted more control over my own destiny. Okay, but
Yeah.
you liked the day-to-day of property management? Because 'Cause I'm always, like, wondered about that.
I liked the people and I loved the company,
Okay.
and they had really good
Okay.
values. I don't think I liked the day to day as
Okay.
much. It was kinda all I knew. You get into a job and
Yeah.
it's like, "Well, it's a lot better than my last one, so I think I like
Right.
it."
And were you getting
But
paid pretty well?
I mean, it was okay. I think it was, like, in line with what you would make as a assistant property manager.
Okay.
But, for me at 23, 24, it was fine, but I started
Yeah,
to look
that's
more
good.
towards the future, right? And, like, I started to do research into if I grow to the very top of this company and I climb the corporate ladder all the way to the top, which would take years, is that where would I be at that point? What would I be making? What would I be doing? And it became clear very quickly, like, that's not the path that I wanna go. And that was
Yeah.
the first time I ever remember thinking, maybe I should do retail sales. And I started talking to my dad about it, and I started talking to a lot of different people about it. And I took probably a year of kind of researching and figuring it out.
While you were still working at the property management?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would go into their little like break room area that they had a door and take calls and just kind of I was scared, I didn't want to jump into this decision and I was not well connected in Dallas at that point. I mean, I had lived there for 4 or 5 years, but I did not have a lot of connections. And I do remember to your point on, being out on your own, kind of standing without any support. I remember having my exit interview at Granite when I had made the decision. I told them I'm going to go join my company that I'm still at, Segovia Partners. And the HR lady, bless her heart, she was trying to fill in all the paperwork she needed for my departure. And she's asking me, where should I transfer your 401k? And I go, I don't know where. I don't have a 401k anymore. And she's kind of like, okay, what about your health insurance? And I go, I don't have health insurance anymore. I can't afford it. And I remember her
Oh
just looking at
my
me
god.
like, "What company is this girl going to? Like, why would she do this?"
Oh
And I told her
my
I was
god.
going from a salary to no money, no salary, and I just remember thinking, "I've gotta get out of here. I've gotta, like, pack up my bags and go to my new job before I change my mind."
Before I
And I
change
did.
my mind,
Yeah.
exactly. Wait,
Yeah.
that's so scary.
So it, ended up being such a great decision, but it was definitely scary. And at the time, I think, Delaney, you started what, 4 or 5 years after I did?
Yeah, well,
Kind
I've
of
I've been in it for just over a year. So and you're how many years in? 6?
about 6, yeah.
Okay.
So it was a
Yeah.
little time between.
Yeah, so just to give a little nutshell, I was studying medicine, like Bretley said. I went to school in San Diego and I graduated with a medicine degree, thinking that was what I was going to do.
Mhm.
I got offered a management position at a restaurant, PF Chang's. That was doing it was performing really, really well. They were super busy and it was like one of the top in their portfolio. And it was kind of a big deal to be 22 and like managing all these people. And for the first time, I had like a set salary. And it was the wildest experience. I literally remember my first solo shift being 22, just like, what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
I
Did you
had
ever have problems, like, with people respecting you, like, for your age and you're a young woman? Like, was there ever people that were questioning you?
I would say for the most part, no, but yes, certainly there was a few. And nothing made me more angry, honestly. I'm pretty feisty, so I just was like, it just made me pissed off.
Yeah, how dare
But
you
yeah,
question me?
exactly. It didn't really like bruise my ego, but I would say the way I carried myself, even when I was an employee before, I feel like I never was like I don't know. I was having fun and I had friends, but I wasn't participating in stuff that was like, not good. So it was relatively easy to make the transition into management. But I ultimately just realized I didn't want to be in hospitality forever. I was working till 2 in the morning. I have
It's
the
such a hard
craziest
field.
stories. Yeah, walking 11 miles a day. So I started researching what else I would do instead. And similarly to Bradley, real estate had a lot of the lifestyle that I was looking for and the freedom, the entrepreneurial, the, no cap on income, the flexibility to kind of work from where you want to work. And I love San Diego. I didn't think I was leaving anytime soon. So I thought, you know what? Like, let me get my real estate license.
And
And
she did not tell anybody also, just she may not mention this, but I had no idea. I'm just doing my thing. I don't think any of the other siblings did either.
no,
I think I found out, like, once you were already hired at your company and had started, but anyway, no hard
no,
feelings.
yeah.
She's very secretive that way.
Slightly better, slightly better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it and decide. I will say I was getting my license maybe not 100% in. I was pretty fully in, but I was like, let me just get my
Yeah.
license. It's not going to hurt. And I can research more while I'm getting my license, and figure out if it's what I want to
Yeah.
do. And then I got my license and I ultimately just went to my brother who works already at a firm in San Diego, a retail firm. And I said, not looking for a handout, but I think I might get into real estate. I got my license, the past 2 months. And what's your advice? What do you recommend? And he was like, I'm looking to build a team, like perfect timing. I
'Cause at
ended
the
up,
time, he was really busy, he had a lot of clients, right? And he
yeah,
was trying to juggle them all on his own, he had a lot of great accounts, so it was kind of, like, perfect timing
yeah.
to bring in, like, his sister, of all people, to
And he said
support
he
him.
had actually, like, been interviewing people, like, the couple
Oh,
months, like, leading
wow.
up which I thought that was kind of crazy. The timing
Everything
was
happens for a reason.
aligned really well, and so I started, like, I think 3 weeks later, and it's been amazing. I'm a little over a year in. Would you say it's different than what you thought it would be? Like, it's
Oh my
already, like,
gosh,
challenge.
yes,
Yes, okay, same.
yes, in every
Yeah,
way. It's I would say, like and we'll get into this more in other episodes, but just, like, the high level, it's way, way more challenging
yeah,
than I ever thought, but also, like, way more rewarding and fun. It's like 2 opposite opposing things at the same time
yeah,
and just maxed out, like, it's just an incredible field. There's no way to describe it, which kind of leads into why we're even here starting Brick& and Brand. I didn't know a lot of other young women in the business, and especially siblings and family, and Delaney and I have been best friends, for years, and so we just naturally started having phone conversations. I mean, usually it was, like, late at night when I got off, like 7, 8, 9 o'clock,
well,
and
I think, like, I was 3 months in and I went, "Oh my god, this is insane. I need to call
yeah.
Bradley and I need advice." So I immediately scheduled a weekly call with you and dad, and it was the highlight of my week. I mean, I kid you not, I would come home, like, borderline tears, and I'm like, "Okay, just make
Mhm.
it to my call with them." It's a lot, but carry on.
That's how it is your first year. I mean, not to digress, but my first year, same thing. I mean, in tears all the time. I mean, I would never let anyone see that because
Yeah.
you have to keep a stiff upper lip, but no, it's extremely hard. And so we started like what was supposed to be me mentoring her, but it really just ended up us talking about real estate and like the deals that we're working on and all the crazy characters and the crazy scenarios and the things that would happen. And every day it's like something out of a movie. It's
Mhm.
so much more than like old men in suits, signing big money deals. It's like this whole other world of interesting characters, funny characters, and we ended up like laughing, crying together, talking about what we were going through on a daily basis.
I realized really quickly is that you can have the same issues in year 1 that you can have in year 6. We're kind
Yeah.
of all going through some variation, although obviously Bretley had, like, much more experience and knowledge. There was the same kind of things continue to happen,
Mhm.
and so it was just so relatable, but to exactly what Bretley said, it would go from laughing to cussing, "This horrible thing happened, I'm pissed," and then
Yeah.
talking about our family, and then we were talking about the yoga studio that we tried that week, and it was just
Mm.
a whirlwind, and our 45 and one thing about Bretley is she's very timely, so if you wanna talk to her, you have to book an appointment. So she would
A
cap
busy
me
schedule.
at 45 minutes,
I
"Gotta
did
go."
not cap you. Did I really? I'm so sorry. That's
Yeah, it
horrible.
was yeah. No, you have to book with Bretley, like, 2 weeks in advance, but anyways, I remember one day just going, "We need to record this."
You wouldn't believe some of the
Exactly.
stories. I thought for a long time that there's such a gap in retail and what people know about it. Like, to our earlier point, real estate has always just been you sell homes, residential.
Mhm.
And there's this whole world that impacts every single person's life. Every single person interacts with retail real estate as a consumer and is involved in it intimately. All of us, when you eat at a restaurant, when you go to your gym, when you buy a coffee, you are part of retail real estate, but no one really knows how it got there, why it's there, who was involved. And we were like, this is a perfect opportunity to not only bring our funny, crazy stories to life to other people to maybe learn from or laugh about, but also to help people kind of look at the retail world differently, which really
Mhm.
is looking at their everyday lives differently.
And the fact that it's not all old men signing big money deals, exactly like you said, in
Yeah,
stuffy offices and suits and ties, because that's exactly what people think it is, you know? That's what I thought
right.
it was for the first 24 years of my life. So to show we wanna show the behind the scenes of what it's like to be in retail real estate and how it impacts every single one of
Mhm.
us every day, no matter if you're in the field or you're just a consumer.
It's an industry that's misunderstood, and we just wanna pull back the curtain to everybody to, like, be in on the fun and be in on the excitement and kind of learn something along the way too, and so that's how we're here today. We spent a lot of time trying to think about what we wanna call this and what rings true to us, and personally, I've always loved construction ever since I was a little girl. I love seeing, homes being built or buildings being built, and even still to this day, there's so much construction in Dallas, and sometimes I'll just watch a tower going up and watch the cranes, and it's like, "How are they doing this? How are they building this?" And our grandfather was a structural engineer, he built bridges and libraries, he was an incredible builder, and so I kind of had that in my that's always been part of me, and then, the second piece is brand building, right? Everybody has a brand. We're all building our brand brick by brick and our business brick by brick, and so our podcast and this whole space is kind of at the intersection of the physical world of real estate and buildings and also the intangible world of brand building, which we're all a part of as well. Each week, you'll get a mix of interesting real estate takes, interviews with incredible founders, and inside looks at brands we're all obsessed with. And you also just get some hilarious stories with Delaney and I as sisters and as real estate entrepreneurs and all the crazy things we go through.
We'll be back next week on Friday. You can find
Mhm.
us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast. Is that everything? I think so. Anywhere you listen to your podcasts, and we're also on YouTube. So check us out and listen in for next Friday.
We look forward to seeing you next time.